start?
Just for the thing.
You're squinting. You're not sleeping. Okay, sure. And the dog ate your homework. I know. Okay, a few things before we get started. Good morning, everybody. Today, shir is, as always, Lilu Nishmat Chai Avram Ben Meretzi Rachalea, Lilu Nishmato. Also, Lilu Nishmat Mendel Rezel Bat Sivi. I don't know her father's name, but it is still it should be for Ili Nishmata that they are sitting shiva for her right now. In addition, Chaim Tovi Marukim is a refuah shlema for Yonatan Yisrael ben Dvora Rivka. She have a refuah shlema as best as possible. Also, a commercial. Some of you who see what I post on Facebook, which if you know me, you know that I was off of Facebook for a very long time, and I came back and I tried myself to not do anything political, even though I kind of delve into it a little. It's mostly been about a couple of publications of mine of recently. One was the Piyut book. There'll be a Hebrew book launch Bezrat Hashem next week in Epeshesh, and an English book launch for the Piyut book, and an English book coming out with, which should be back in the printer soon, here in the neighborhood Bezrat Hashem right after Shavuot. I have with me here, the book is, the Piyut book is written Lilu Nishmat Avigdor Chai Avram, and that's why I felt it was appropriate for me to bring it this morning. Anyone who's interested, see me afterwards. Normally they're 50,000 shekel a book. Today they're just 50, so it's a tremendous sale today. In any case, so today's topic, at least, will be the topic of kin'ah, jealousy. And I want to ask a rhetorical question, because I'm going to answer it. I'm not looking for your answers at the moment, because everyone will have, I'm sure, an opinion. Is what's the big deal? We ended with this last week. What's the big deal of being jealous? What's the big deal? Okay, so it's not a good character trait. Someone drives by in a nice, shiny new car, and I'm jealous. I wish I had that. Okay, I mentioned also last week that the idea in the aseret that he brought, the lo tachmod, in English we say, thou shalt not covet, is not the same thing. I was going to talk in depth about that. I decided not to. It's okay. Buddy wants to learn also. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother you. Don't know what a Gilgal he had. Yeah, who knows? And lo tachmod is just in parentheses right now. If it was just don't be jealous, it wouldn't make it in the top 10. It doesn't make any sense to say that don't be jealous falls in the same big things of don't kill, don't commit adultery, keep Shabbat, honor your mother and father. Don't be jealous. It doesn't fit. So lo tachmod is much more insidious, much more in depth. It has to do with actually not only are you jealous of this person, but you also, in some cases, the item the person has is unique. You can't buy it in a store. You pressure the person to give it to you or sell it to you. Even sometimes some people hold it. Even money changes hands. It's still lo tachmod. You put a person in a very bad position of pressure. There's a lot of things involved in lo tachmod. It does not mean don't be jealous. So what does it mean? Don't be jealous. It means you don't want to say, I wish I had that car. I wish I had that vacation. I wish I was going to Tveria today. Whatever it is. What's wrong with it? What's the big deal? After all, it's just a feeling. Right? It's how I feel. It's how I relate to what I see around me. So before we even look at the text, we're going to start, I think it's page 78 in the booklet. But even before we look at the text, I want to mention what he's about to say, because I think it bears a little introduction before we even look at the text. When I get angry at you, let's say I'm yelling at you, right? And I'm getting angry at you. What's the problem with that? Besides all the problems we saw that came along with it, you are hurt. I'm hurting you, right? I'm insulting you. I'm hurting you. I'm making you, even for a moment, feel bad, even if you know you're right. There's some feelings I'm getting into you. If you're, well, that's right. You're female, so you are right. Yeah, that's right. Good point. Good point. You'd think I'd learn by now. Hello. Or let's say I came to you and I wanted to sell you something and I way overcharged you. You didn't know. Oh, nah. Right, so what did I do? I did something wrong, but I also hurt you financially. All these midot that we've dealt with until now, all these bad character traits, all these things we're trying to strive for nikiyut, for this clean concept of being able to do all our mitzvot and prevent ourselves from doing averot. it involves another person almost always, and it also involves some form of damage in quotes to the other person. It could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be mental cruelty. So he starts out by telling us that the issue with kina is, and I'm using my words, not him, you're just an idiot for being jealous. You're an idiot. Why? Because what do you gain by that? You're not hurting the other person. You're not infringing on that other person one iota. You can't get what that person has necessarily. You don't gain by anything. Let's see if he's going to talk about this in his own unique style. Let's take a look at on page 78, I think it is. Oh, sure. I closed the book. Let me find it now in my book. Here we are. Okay. The paragraph begins with the word hakina gamhi eina. Again, hakina gamhi eina. This is like this. Hakina gamhi eina ela chesron yediah v'sichlut. The idea of kina, of jealousy, is only foolishness, stupidity. And we say, as some kids would say, that's so dumb. Ki eina makana marviach klum ne'atzmo. What did I do? If I get angry at you and I blow off steam, I got some benefit out of it. If I cheated you, I got something out of it. If I spoke Lashon Hara, I got something out of it even, right? I feel good about myself. Look, I told, by the way, afterwards, I'll tell you about Mark afterwards. There's so much cool stuff to tell about, right? If I'm missing any details, you'll fill them in. Thank you so much. All these midot we talked about, I have something to gain. Whether it's a good or bad thing, I'm still gaining something. The gam, also when you're jealous about something, you're not diminishing or causing any lessening of something in the other person. If I charge you too much, if I insult you, I'm physically doing something to you, emotionally doing something to you, there's a less of you for something. Is similar to what he's already mentioned before. Envy kills fools. By the way, I know on Zoom you can't pick this up. There's an absolutely beautiful breeze here today. Baruch Hashem. However, there's some people who are so foolish when it comes to the midah of kin'ah, jealousy, that their foolishness is so great. If he sees his friend, something went well for them, he's going to feel bad. That even when he himself, things are going well for him, but he sees something going well for his friend, he won, even not win the lottery. He made it to something on time. He got good news. Or even though I might have something going on good in my life, but I see that happening, he won't be able to enjoy his own happiness, because of the pain he feels of what he sees in this other guy's hand. Now, that is a very deep-seated psychological problem for that individual. Put aside for a moment the whole issue of midot, ra'ot, and all that. It's a psychological problem that I can't enjoy my own happiness because I'm sorry about what this guy has. I'm jealous what he has. Lahavdil, it's not even the same ballpark. And I see this character trait in others sometimes. When I was a kid, I don't like amusement parks. First, I'm terrified of heights, so forget all the roller coasters. But I'm not a big fan of amusement parks. But when we were little, right in the neighborhood, there was literally a 10-minute walk from my house. There was Kittyland, right? So, Mark and I grew up in the exact same neighborhood. So there was Kittyland. It doesn't exist there anymore, at least in that. Where was it? In Lincoln Village. Behind it. Yeah, right behind Lincoln Village. They closed it down after we were finished high school, I think. In any case, so my parents took us there a few times, and I wasn't aware of it at the time, but years later, my father especially points out to me, he said, my mom also, that when I'd be on one ride, I was already pointing to and looking at the next ride. I wasn't enjoying what I was on. Like, I'm on the tilt-a-whirl, forget it, don't go with the tilt-a-whirl. I'm on the tilt-a-whirl going around, spinning around and get rid of whatever, and I'm already pointing to the next thing. Enjoy the moment. Now, that's not jealousy, but it's the same mindset that you can't enjoy where you're at, enjoy the moment, because you're already on the next thing. That's not jealousy. That's foolish. But the foolishness of this jealousy, this extreme situation he brings, is that you can't even be happy. Let's say I got good news, right? Someone in my family had a baby, Bonagi. Oh, that's great, Mazel Tov. Oh, but so and so, they had twins. Right? Okay, was it a contest? Maybe. In my mind, it's a contest, right? So it's a problem. And that, he says, envy kills fools. What does that mean? We're going to see what that means soon. And then he quotes a pasuk that's kind of scary. Pasuk from Mishlei. I looked into it a little bit, and I was going to talk. There's a Gemara that discusses this particular pasuk. But I'm not going to get into it. Just be aware that there's a lot written about this pasuk in Mishlei. The V'huma shamar alav hacham, and this is what the chacham, when he says hacham or hacham mikol adam, that Shlomo HaMelech, who wrote 3 Sfarim, which we've talked about many times, Yesharim, Kohelet, Mishlei. He says in Mishlei, the book of Proverbs, Urekav atzamot kina. Envy is the decay of bones. What does that mean? Well, it could be a mashal, it could be a parable, because after all, this is Mishlei, the book of Proverbs. And it could mean that it could have a physical effect on you, and that's true. We know that a person has this jealousy or rage or other midot that are very bad midot. It has a physical effect on him. Gemara tells us, and Rashi and others tell us, it means it physically. It means it physically, that after a person passes away, it causes the deterioration of the bones much faster. It causes the decay. The Gemara tells stories about it, and I don't want to discuss it because it's kind of strange, so I don't want to get into it. But if you're interested, just go online, write that pasuk, and put in plus Gemara or Talmud, and you'll find some stories. So not only do you not hurt the other person, not only do you not gain anything from this, you also lose in a physical sense, in an emotional sense. Omnam, however, now that's a real extreme. There are others who they get upset, but not as much pain, feel as bad. Nevertheless, they will feel some pain at the good when someone else has something they don't. When they see someone who they got a promotion at work, for example, or they won a prize, or whatever it might be, they'll feel a little twinge, like, why wasn't that me? They're not sitting there pining away, and they're not sitting there crying in their soup, and they're not thinking about, but it hurts when it's someone they're close to. More so even when it's somebody that they have no closeness to, just some guy. I mean, I got to tell you, I know it happens that, the whole topic of Tzaddik V'Ralo, Rasha V'Tovlo, which we will be dealing with extensively in Tanya down the road. I know I say that a lot about Tanya because it's a long sefer, the rate we're going. The idea of when bad things happen to good people. Rabbi Harold Kushner, who of course wrote the famous book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. I think there should be an alternate copy. It should be called When Good Things Happen to Bad People, because I think that's more questionable for a lot of people. And in a sense, that's what this is. He said, like, he's no better person than me. How come that happened to him? Why did he get such and such? Even more so if it's somebody who's a stranger who's just living in your country, that something really good happened to them. I'm going to give you a current events potential comparison. For those of you who follow the news in the United States, by the way, the gigantic flush you hear going down a drain, that's the United States right now. Just you don't need a plumber. In the United States right now, there's a massive shortage of baby food. And there are pictures posted all over the internet, empty shelves, no baby food. But where is their baby food found? In the southern border of the United States, for all the illegal immigrants coming in, crossing the border. It's causing tremendous amount of friction in the United States because they don't have anything else to be arguing about right now. There's no problem with Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court. Everything's quiet there. Really, God, so happy I live here. No politics. Oh, right. No politics. I'm not going to bring politics into this. You're right. I said I wasn't going to bring politics in. But right now, there's this huge shortage. So it's not just that it's not on the shelves. It's being given to the illegal immigrants. Put away all the morals and and ethics and all. Just right now, what's causing this tremendous amount of anger, jealousy, and this is ger me'eretz acheret. These are strangers coming from a foreign land. And that one at least is somewhat justified. It may be that on the surface, let's say you give me the good news about something. You just bought this brand new car, and I don't have a car. And I was like, okay, oh, how wonderful, that's great. On the outside, I'm giving this nice, happy face. But inside, I'm going, how do you even have the money to pay for that? Right? I don't even know. It's not my cheshbon, but I'm jealous because I didn't buy a car. You bought a car. Why don't I have one? This happens to most people. Even though most of us are not people who walk around always being jealous of others. We're not, if we be honest with ourselves, at least I can say about myself, I'm not completely, I generally am not a jealous person. I really am not. Except anything you guys have, I'm really jealous of. Besides that, okay. No one is really completely clean of that midah ra'ah. Kol shekenim ba, where does it really show up? Kol shekenim ba umanato matzliach ba. Two people that are in the same industry, two carpenters, two authors, two chemists, two doctors in the same field. One all of a sudden gets a prize, gets recognized, gets awards, gets published, whatever it might be, and the other one, not so much. That causes a lot of internal strife and jealousy as well. Every artisan hates his friends. Doesn't mean it literally. God forbid. Especially if the other person's much more successful than this other individual. So where is potentially, I'm going to close the book for 1 minute because I want to mention this. I don't think he mentions this at all. Let me just double check before I shoot my mouth off. He does not. And I'm surprised, so I want to mention it now. We're going to come back to the text in a minute. Is there ever a time the jealousy is good, that you can think of an appropriate situation? Where? Excellent. Where it spurs you to do better. Okay, so let me twist your words. Come back to the car. I don't have a car. You get a brand new shiny car. I'm jealous of that. That spurs me to get a new car because now I want to drive around and take them shopping and do chasadim. Okay, maybe. I understand what you're saying, and you're right. We're going to see, but it's a specific kind of kinat. Very good. What's called kinat sofrim. One who literally means you're jealous of not authors, but Torah learners. Someone who's learning Torah. When I mentioned this, he's no longer a boy anymore. I first knew of this boy when he was 14, so that was 12 years ago. So he's in his mid-20s now, upper 20s already. There's a boy, and I mentioned this before in many contexts, who learned the Yeshivat Mekor Chaim in the Gush. He was 14 years old, who knew all of Shas by heart, by the age of 14. That's 2,711 pages of the Talmud by heart. Now, I'm not going to say whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to know all of it. Obviously, he has a photographic memory, has a genius mind, okay. And I would, as I told my students, I've said many times, at 14 years old, if he walked in the room, I'd stand up for him because he knows a tremendous amount of Torah, more than I'll ever know in my life, more than likely. And I go and I look at that, or I saw this video. I think I told you the story recently, a video of Rav Kanievsky and Zatzal. He was talking to a boy who knew all of Mishnayot by heart. The kid couldn't have been bar mitzvah yet, knew all of Mishnayot. So Rav Kanievsky asked him a question: where do you see in Mishnah any mention of Hanukkah and Purim, but not in Masechet Shabbat and not in Masechet Megillah? And he quoted like that without even having to think about it. And I looked at it and said, dang, I wish I could do that. I wish I had that memory. I wish I had that knowledge. That's okay. Because it spurs me in Torah to grow. That's the key. You're right, 100% true. But it has to be specifically Torah related, or it has to be something that spurs you to grow in Yirat Shamayim. You want to, let's say you're a person who likes to give a Dvar Torah, but You can't get the words out properly. So what do? You go and you watch people who are speaking and you listen to how they put together Dvar Torah. And you get jealous. I wish I could do that. That's fine. If it spurs you to try to get a little better at putting words together and speaking and projecting and whatever else. So as long as it's helping you grow in Torah, that kind of kina is okay. That's called, like, as Rhonda mentioned, kinat sofrim, and that's okay. I don't know why he doesn't mention that, but okay, that's fine. Maybe in the second edition, I don't know. Anyways, now the question really becomes, again, I'm going to strengthen the question that we started with. What's the big deal? You're not hurting anybody. You're getting some emotional stress, but you're not hurting another person. But there's a much deeper problem here. Great. Judy is now 2 for 2. She says, aren't you questioning God by being jealous? Okay. Right.
And obviously,
not to me.
They have a good credit line.
Right.
And I don't have a good.
So as Judy says, God saw to in that family got that car. Hopefully, they had a good credit line, and I don't have it. Look at the next line words. Exactly on point what you said. If only people would realize. It's the expression in Gemara Yuma. It says, you cannot encroach on your friend even a thread's worth, even a hair's breadth, whatever. What does that mean? What's mine is mine because Hashem wants it to be mine. What's yours is yours because Hashem wants. Now, there's masal matan, there's business. I want to buy something for you, that's fine, right? But if you have, going back to that same mashal, that car, and I'm becoming jealous of it, it's like saying, I don't trust Hashem in what he gave me. That's not it. It should have been mine. And who are you to question Hashem's choices and decisions? Now, I know it comes back to the whole concept of free will. If I choose to buy a car, I can buy a car. But even so, it means that Hashem has to have allowed it, quote unquote, that I have the money to buy it. I go to the right place. I didn't buy a lemon. There's all kinds of factors that come into it. So we are, by saying, I wish I had that. By the way, it's fine to want to better yourself. I want to clarify this. If you have a small apartment and you go to someone's bigger apartment and you say, I wish I could have a bigger place, and that spurs you to try to improve your quality of life, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. Remember, it's more than just, we're not talking about just, oh, I wish I could do that. That's not really jealousy per se. It's when you're not going to gain anything and you just, oh gosh, look at that place that guy has. I wish I had money for that. Okay. You don't. Tachlis, you don't. Hashem decided you don't have the money for that. And even if you did, it's not the right time. It's not the right place. I've quoted Rav Arush many, many times. Rav Chut Chesed Yerushalayim, Breslaver. In his books, he makes it very clear. We talked about this when we talked a couple of weeks ago about anger, very clearly, right? That Hashem runs the world. And what we are supposed to have, especially when it comes to finances, and that's going to be coming up if we get to it today, maybe, probably, especially when it comes to finances, we also believe that whatever is supposed to be in our bank account on the last day of Elul of the year is already set on Rosh Hashanah. So what does that mean? I should just stay home all day long and it's just going to be in the bank? It means the opposite. No matter how much I work, we're going to see this, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but no matter how much I work and break my head and stay at the office till 2 a.m, and I still work all day and night, and then maybe even some people I got to work on Shabbat because after all, it's parnas, it's making a difference. You got to do what you got to do, but in the end of the day, it's going to be exactly to the shekel which you're supposed to have based on what Hashem has determined, with one exception. Exception is hotzaot for Shabbat and Chagim. The money you spend on Shabbat, on Chag, doesn't figure into that cheshbon. So let's say I'm supposed to have, I'm making an easy number, 1,000 shekel. That's a lot because I'm a teacher. 1,000 shekel in my bank at the end of the year, and during the course of the year I spent, 250 shekel on hotzaot for Shabbat, I hope it's more than that for the whole year, then that doesn't diminish how much I'm going to end up. That's still not figuring Hashem's cheshbon of hotzaot and hachdasot for ins and outs. That's not how you say it. Oh my God. How do you say hotzaot and hachnasa? Income and outgo or whatever, and expenses. Okay. I need to come with the dictionary. Okay, so let's take a look. Continue. What does this mean? It's a lack of emunah. By the way, when a person steals, we talked about this also. That's a lack of emunah. It's saying that Hashem's made a mistake. It's yours, and it should be mine. It says, he says, what's it? Ah, very good. Exactly. A person who has his stuff, his chelek, but it feels he needs more, he's not samech bechalko because he's saying Hashem made a mistake. I have another take on that phrase, by the way. I don't know if I've looked far to see if someone else says it. Ezehu Ashir, who is rich, hasamech bechalko, who is happy with his chelek with Hashem. Right? He's happy. He wants it to continue. He wants it to grow. Whether someone says it or not, I don't know. But you're right. That's exactly what the concept is over there. He continues, everything is from Hashem. Everything is here. Everything we get is from God's perfect wisdom and knowledge that we cannot understand. We have no reason to feel sad, upset, or jealous when your fellow human being has something going well. This is what the Navi has told us, Shayahu, about the future, as far as a goal, in order that we should all feel at peace. Hashem will proactively remove this terrible character trait from us. And then there will be no jealousy or no pain caused one to another when they see that someone else benefiting. Nor will a person have to hide their success because others will become jealous of them. We have a very ingrained idea among Jews that we have to be careful of an ayin hara. Right? How many grandchildren you have? Baruch Hashem, I have plenty. Right? Kain Yirbu, whatever it might be. A person's successful, right? You want to keep it quiet and afraid of an ayin hara. By the way, I gave a share on this also a few years ago. There's very much something to this ayin hara, except if you don't believe in ayin hara, then it doesn't work. If you don't believe in ayin hara, then ayin hara doesn't have an effect on you. With one, I've made this example once. I was teaching that class years ago. I said, and someone asked me, how does someone not believe in ayin hara? I said, I don't think that there's a person who doesn't believe in ayin hara, and I'll prove it. How many people would feel comfortable driving on Kvish Achad, going 110 kilometers an hour and say out loud, I've never been in a car accident in my life? I don't think anyone would feel comfortable saying that, right? I would hope. Because all you're doing is saying, come on, bring it on. Right? Now, here it's saying that Hashem is going to remove that character trait from people who have it, that midah ra'ah. Doesn't say he's going to remove sinat chinam. Doesn't say he's going to remove gezel, lashon hara. Dafka, this particular midah ra'ah. V'hu ma shekatuv, he quotes the pasuk from Yesharim, v'sara kinat Ephraim v'tzorei Yehuda, yikaretu, Ephraim lo yikanet Yehuda. There's a whole issue between Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef, the Kuhuna, the Malchut, and the jealousy that did exist, going to be gone. Hu hashalom v'hashalva shel malachei hasharet. Well, he says, you want to know what it means not to have jealousy? It is the peace and tranquility that angels have. Why? Asher kulam smechim ba'avodatam ish ish al makomo. Remember, angels don't have a Yetzer Hara. Malachim have no Yetzer Hara. They have no Yetzer Hara, and they only do one thing. They do the shlichut of Hashem. That's it. Nachon? They're not jealous one of the other. Oh, you got to have Abraham become healthy again. Oh, big shot. All I got to do is to tell her about Sarah. She's going to have a baby. Really? You ever see that? Say, okay, Raphael and Michael, they're going to have an argument tonight. Yeah, who did more today? No, that doesn't happen. One malach does not become jealous of another one. They all know the truth. And they're joyous. They're happy with what they've been given to do, and to pick up what you said, they're happy with their chelek. Maybe this helps me also with what I said about my chelek, but that they're happy to be able to serve Hashem without any jealousy. Now he tells us, in addition to kin'ah, that there is he calls it a sister component to jealousy, because one kind of leads to another, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. He says, look at the next paragraph. That a sister problem to kin'ah, jealousy, is a form of lust, desires. Those are the kind of things that tire a person till the day they die. We're going to see what he's referring to in a minute. As we say in Kohelet Rabbah, when a person passes away from this world after 120 years, they have not yet fulfilled even half of what their desires were in this world. Now, this is the classic way that the Mesilat Yesharim approaches everything in this book. Ramchal has an amazing way of doing this. I'm going to explain to you what Rav Aviner says about this in a minute. He says that when it comes to this, it breaks down. The tava, desires, lust, breaks down into two major categories. One is lust for money. The second one, honor. Both are evil, and they cause people all kinds of problems. What does Rav Aviner say? He says, we beat ourselves up a lot in life. I'm no good, I'm no good, I'm no good. We send ourselves very bad messages, which in itself is a problem. He says, okay, fine. Let's talk about that. The Ramchal does, he gives us a category, and then there's a subcategory, another subcategory, and that subcategory has more and more subcategories. So, okay, let's start off with this. You say that you're no good because all you do is you have tavat hamamon. What I give you, you're money hungry. Or you have ta'avot. You have extreme desires in life. Fine, let's look at all the subcategories. Let's go down. You have this? Yeah. You have this? Oh, well, not do that. Oh, I don't do that. Meaning when you start to break it into pieces, when you look at this, I keep talking about cars today. You look at a car. What do you see? You see one thing. You see a car. But it's made up of literally thousands and thousands of components. But we see only one. We see jealousy, we see anger, we see rage, we see whatever, we see one issue. And a person says, oh, I'm terrible, horrible human being. I get angry all the time. Yeah? Are you the kind of person that's worth it? He would be happy if the whole world was destroyed because it was, oh, well, not that bad. Oh, are you the kind of, well, I'm not like that. In other words, when the Ramchal breaks it down, it's not just so that we should see all the different possibilities here and the way we have to get to Nikiyut, but it's also to give us hope. And that hope is that you may sometimes beat yourself up, sometimes rightfully so, sometimes more often than not wrongly. But at the end of the day, when you really start breaking into all of its components, you're not so bad. Person has a car, continuing on the same mashal, and they say it's a lemon, no good. I have to look up why we use the word lemon specifically for something that's no good. I don't remember. It's a lemon. It's no good. I want to return it. I want to get rid of it. I'm going to sell it and tell the person it's no good. Okay. What's wrong with it? Well, the radiator keeps cracking. Oh, but you mean, there's no carburetor anymore. I know. Okay. But I'm really dating myself. The pistons, or I don't know much about cars. The oil pan is, the brakes are fine. Yeah. The accelerator is fine. Yeah, the trunk, oh, got plenty of space. Well, you just told me the car's a lemon. Well, the radiator stinks. You can fix that. Now, if you told me 7,000 components in the car are no good, then that's really a piece of junk. But when you got one thing that's wrong, doesn't mean the whole car is no good. So too says, this I'm adding to what Rav Aviner said. Now I'm going back to Rav Aviner. Says, so too, when you look at the big picture, yeah, you might, when you come to the topic, the title, okay, you may have struggled with that big time. But when you break it down into components, as Ramchal does, it gives you hope to say, well, okay, there's many areas where I'm fine. So he's going to talk, let me see. Okay, let me just do one paragraph. Hinei chemdat hamamon hi haoseret oso b'masar ha'olam. The desire, being money hungry, is something that ties a person up. He literally, almost literally, gets his arms just all tied in ropes. I love this pasuk. I've quoted it many times. Someone who really loves money will never have enough. There's a statement in Alcoholics Anonymous that says that one drink is too much and 1,000 is not enough. And think about that. One drink already is not sobriety. 1,000, he still wants more. Ohev kesef lo yispar kesef. A person who wants and desires more and more money will never have enough money. It's what turns a person away from work, not work to make money, the work of Hashem, avodat Hashem. How many mitzvot have been skipped? How many davening, how many tefillot have been skipped or rushed through just because I have to get to the office and close that deal? Because of the extreme involvement in work. I'm not even talking about sitting and learning, just davening, just a mitzvah. Push it to the side just because of money. When it comes to just setting aside time to learn. By the way, there's nothing wrong with working hard. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with working hard, but there has to be a balance. There cannot be a goal. You know, you've seen these bumper stickers, whoever dies with the most toys wins, right? So I don't know if you've ever seen them, but like that, some people live by that. I said last week, they talked about anger. Whoever gets to the red light first wins. So we have these foolish things, and it's not my line. I'm sure you've heard this before. No one, I don't remember who says this. No one lies on their deathbed and says, "Oh yeah, if I only had spent more time in the office," right? It's not. It doesn't. We don't think that way. At the end, when it's important, why should we think that way now? Torah is not on the other side of the ocean. What does that mean? It uses it in a mashal. The people who have to do a lot of traveling. Now, yes, people need to travel. Keep in mind that the Ramchal wrote this in the 1700s. Traveling first was dangerous. It was only by boat. There was no concept yet of trains and airplanes and automobiles. They should make a movie like that. Planes, trains, and automobiles. It's got a catchy title. So that the person has to go and have to travel and go away, and the travel itself could cause problems, and who knows what kind of shalom bayit problems it could cause, and all kinds of other things. Not everyone who spends a lot of time on work will become more wise. It's not really the right way to translate it. It's what brings somebody into some very dangerous situations. And he makes a person weak. But why? Because of all the worries. How am I going to make payroll? That's a legitimate worry. It's a legitimate worry. And you should be worried if you can't make payroll because you're affecting someone else's parnasa. But when you're worried about where's my next client going to come from because I only made $13 million a year and I need to make $14 million a year, that's a problem. Even after he's already accomplished and acquired a lot. We also learned in Eruvin, it's also quoted, in Pirkei Avot. The more stuff you have, the more worries you have. I just had this discussion with someone the other day. When I worked before I was a rabbi b'shul, I know I've mentioned this to you many times, or in other classes, I worked for 17 years in the business world, 15 or 16 years in one place and 1 or 2 in another place. And it was most of the time, vast majority of the time, I was in purchasing or director of purchasing. It was manufacturing environment. And there are times I go into the plant, into the factory, and I'd see these guys, and all their job was to put product, for example, on a piece of cardboard. This machine would come down and put shrink wrap with plastic, and then they would chop it into pieces and they'd put it in a pile. Or another guy's job was to press 2 pieces of metal together for the object. And I would say to myself, that's got to be kind of nice. Bell rings at 3:30. The product could be in mid-air. They're going to walk away and they go home. No worries, no homework. They don't have to worry about is the stuff coming in on time? Did I order it from the right place? Is it going to be damaged? What happens if there's a storm and the truck can't make? None of those worries. They have a life of Riley, right? Chaim shel tutim. I don't know why tutim, why strawberries, but they have a life of strawberries. Doesn't sound good in English. Because they don't have to worry about that kind of, they have other worries maybe, right? I knew guys who would literally drink their paycheck over the weekend. They get their paycheck and they drink. They come back after the weekend. What a life. It's not, I don't mean that in a good way at all. But they don't have any worries, right? So marbeh nechasim, marbeh daga. The more stuff you have, the more involvement you have, good. You should have more responsibility. Again, you also have more worries, and you have to be aware of that. He says, not only does this kind of mindset, this desire, constant chasing after the almighty dollar, is it a problem? It also causes a person to go against mitzvot in the Torah, and even the ones that are sichli and tif'i. What does that mean? Look, we need the Torah to tell us don't wear shatnez. We need the Torah to tell us put on tefillin, because we would not know that on our own. We don't need the Torah to tell us don't murder. There's no society on earth where it's okay. We don't, that you can steal. You can't do that. But there's reason, of course, Hashem had put it in the Torah as well. But it's even, forget doing the ones that Hashem tells us that we wouldn't have known on our own, putting the tefillin or whatever else. But even things that just common sense, don't kill, don't steal, don't murder, even could get to such an extent. And that's where the ta'ava of mammon, of money, sometimes will lead people. Tov, I'm going to stop here. We'll continue next week with the topic of jealousy, or of money, and the other anafim that go with that. Again, if anyone is interested afterwards, please feel free. I'll be happy to sign a book if you want, no pressure. And